things were a lot worse for us back then. For example, we hid in the asteroid field to evade detection by that Terran patrol. They got into a scrap with the Orions instead of us, and we were able to salvage what we needed to move on from the wreckage afterward. Bottom line, you never know how things will go sideways when you're out there.
Like, he has to tell that to us. That's the thing. Like, anybody, like, so assuming, like, let's go with Cryptic's timeline for this game, which is stupid. The official timeline for this game is stupid. Everything in this game happens over the course of, like, 3 years. Which is not possible, considering you spend most of the game without access to Quantum Slipstream. Like, I know that you can transwarp to, like, places nowadays, and, like, missions you can just, like, transwarp straight to the start of the mission, but you didn't have that when the game first started out. That came later. Much later. You had to truck across sector space to get where you were going, and in the early levels you were limited to, like, warp 5, then warp 6, then warp 7, etc. So if you actually, like, look up the distances between the systems you're going to, and, like, just don't even use even if you don't use so hang on. So I have right here the Star Trek star charts. Yeah, you can't see it, but I'm holding it up, and I use this to plan for my Star Trek Adventures campaigns. I feel like there's like 5 books you really need, and only 5 to write a good Star Trek campaign. And technically you don't even really need, like, you may not even really need a couple of them. But there's only, like, really 5 that are absolutely, if you really want to get down into the weeds and write I don't know. I don't know how I wanted to say that. If you really want to get down into the weeds and write like you mean it, right? Like you're settling down. You're not just writing like a tabletop campaign. You're writing fucking Star Trek, right? You want to write like a real, like, hardcore, deep lore Star Trek setting, right? And not just sort of like a Star Trek Adventures module. Especially if you're homebrewing, which I usually do because I'm insane. I have been compared to John Crichton from Farscape by one of my players, and I don't know whether to be flattered or horrified by that, but yeah, like, there's like 4 books. There's the Star Trek Star Charts. There's the Star Trek Chronology, which is the sort of official timeline of the franchise. There is the Star Trek Encyclopedia, which I have the... let's see. The one that I have is from 1999. Yeah. I have the 1999 edition, written by Michael and Denise Okuda, which, this actually came from the Las Vegas Experience. No, the chronology came from the Las Vegas Experience, that's right. And the TNG Technical Manual. Like, those are really those are the big 4, right? If you, like, for reference material, I mean, right? I also have the the Starfleet Survival Guide by David Mack, which is a good book, despite the fact I had to give David Mack money for it, aka the guy responsible for the travesty that is Coda, which he used to basically wipe out completely the pocketbooks continuity and all the relaunch novels that everybody loved to impress the new boss at Secret Hideout, which turned out to be all for naught, apparently, because All the rumors are saying that Secret Hideout is done and Skydance is gone. So David Mack basically torched the legacy of dozens of his fellow authors, including Peter David, whose work on New Frontier is literally the man's life's work, or was. He passed away, unfortunately. He wrote the final book of... He started New Frontier in the mid-90s, and he wrote the final book of the series from infirmity, like from a hospital bed, and he published it in 2015. Like, it's literally his life's work. Nope, gotta please the new boss. Gotta get together with Dayton Ward and Badger, James Swallow. I have a lot of hostility towards Dayton Ward for this as well, because he was thinking along the same lines. Like, he wanted to burn it all down and walk away, basically. You know, like, he wanted to lay ownership to everybody else's work and burn it all down, and because he could, right? And Mack's role in that was he was working in Prodigy, but he couldn't tell anybody he was working in Prodigy, right? He was under like a NDA or something. So he basically had the idea of, like, because he's in the writer's room, he's like, well, why don't we end the novel verse on our terms? Because that way, somebody else doesn't, like, show up and, like, destroy it all. You know, you never know when, like, you don't want, like, some idiot in the writer's room with an agenda to destroy what we've done. What he didn't tell them he's the asshole in the writer's room with an agenda to destroy everything that they've done. Because he wanted to please the new boss, pretty much. So they cajole. He got together with Dayton Ward, who wanted to blow it all up because he's an auteur, right? He can't bear the thought of someone else continuing work that he started. And then they went through a bunch of other authors for the books. They all said no. In fact, Kirsten Beyer, the one they finally got to work on the Voyager books, the woman who finally figured out what the hell to do with Voyager, because they had had so many false starts with Voyager in the books. A lot of those books are just kind of hard to read because it's like, you're just not invested in them. They're just weird. Kirsten Beyer outright said to keep her characters out of it. Meaning the Voyager cast, most of it. So that's why it's Picard, Sisko, and Ezri Dax. Their ships on the cover, like the Vesta is on the cover of one, or the Aventine is Ezri's ship, instead of Voyager, because they were probably wanted to have Voyager, have the three big leads of the TNG era, close out that era of the pocketbooks, but like I said, Kirsten Beyer was like, I'm not doing this, and stay the hell away from my characters. And they finally got to James Swallow, who has done a lot. James Swallow has a lot of street cred when it comes to Star Trek. He worked on a shit ton of the games, especially most of the Activision games. Most of the Activision games that people love, James Swallow wrote the story for. Like Elite Force, Armada, Away Team. Not a lot of people like Away Team. It's not I don't think it's hated, but it's definitely not as well liked as Armada or Elite Force or Starfleet Command, especially Starfleet Command 3, which is the one that James Swallow worked on. Invasion, I think, was another one that he did. I think he did Bridge Commander as well. He's done a lot, and his initial reaction was, no! Why the hell would I do that? So, I don't have as much contempt for James Swallow as I have for Dayton Ward, and especially David Mack. He was... And I hate to describe the guy like this, because I do like his work. I do love his work. I grew up with it, man. I grew up playing Star Trek games and reading books written by James Swallow. But I'm sorry, bro. You were a useful idiot. You were David Mack's useful idiot. Technically, Dayton Ward was as well, but Dayton Ward was already thinking of doing what David Mack wanted to do when he approached him for it. So, yeah, sorry, y'all were useful idiots for David Mack. So, yeah, despite the fact that I had to give David Mack money to buy this fucking book, I do think it's a very good book to have because it basically outlines all, like, the little tricks that they came up with over the course of the shows to deal with all sorts of stuff. Let's see. Creating localized seismic disruptions with tricorders or comm badge signals. Programming comm badge or tricorder to trigger preset device effects and functions. That's when O'Brien, like, taps his comm badge to, like, detonate the phaser. And, Empoknor. Programming a tricorder to control a medium-range subspace transmitter. Reconfiguring a subspace transceiver to generate a short-duration, low-power force field. If you want to write, like, your own campaigns and stuff, this is a cool thing to have. Because it's full of lots of little tricks that you can figure out. It also helps to know your science. Read up on science. Like physics and astronomy. Know your science. And you will... I'm not gonna like say always, but there are many times where you will be a step ahead of your players if you know the actual physics of the things that are going on. Especially if you're like me and you like to write crazy, weird shit. Like, I have a very... Like, I at this point, I have like, every... So every Star Trek writer has, like, a thing that they were known for, right? Like, Ron Moore was the Klingon guy. Like, most of the Klingon... Like, he's basically the guy that codified the Klingons in the Next Gen era. Like, he's the guy who sat down and really figured out who the Klingons were, essentially. So, like almost everything to do with Klingon culture, you have Ron Moore to thank. Brennan Braga was the weird guy. He was the psychological storyline guy. Like, he was the guy where it's like a frame of mind is an example of him doing really good stuff. He really liked messing with people and messing with the characters' heads. Not all of his ideas were great. He's also the guy who wrote Threshold and Genesis. Keep him away from anything to do with evolution, and you're good. Just let him write. Like, I think he did Eye the Beholder as well. He does really good psychological horror, basically. He's just not a very good science guy. Keep him away from that shit. And apparently my niche that I tend to gravitate towards is like hard sci-fi with some light cosmic horror. I like a little bit of cosmic horror in my sci-fi. I don't like just hopeless, like, despair-inducing, your characters in an institution kind of cosmic horror, right? I don't like that. But I do, like, Star Trek and cosmic horror have gone together since the beginning. Like, the Telosians, that is a cosmic horror story. Like, especially when they're on the bridge of the ship and the Telosians decide to basically just we're just gonna drain all their memory banks of information before we wipe them out. And the Enterprise, like, basically for the entirety of the Cage, the Enterprise and the crew are helpless. They're absolutely helpless. Like, they're actually too afraid to take off. Like Spock points it out. I think Spock and Dr. Piper both point out that the Telosians can make them see whatever they want, so they can make them push, like, whatever button they want them to push to make the ship explode, basically. So they're actually too scared to leave. That's why they wait so long. It's not just because they have people missing on the surface. It's because they don't actually know what buttons they're pushing anymore. And as, like, the Telosians just start, like, ripping all the information out of the ship, they're like, that's it, we're done. There's nothing they can do. Like, they can try to shoot at what they think is down there, but they have no idea where they're aiming. They have no idea if they're actually firing their weapons. They have no idea where they actually are. Like, that's a horror scenario. Straight up. So, like, Star Trek began with a very light cosmic horror story. And cosmic horror stories like the Amoeba, for example, in the original series, they have no idea where the hell it came from, and when it leaves, they have no idea where the hell it's going. Like, I think it leaves, or I might be thinking of something else. I might be thinking, that's also a cosmic... So there's like, no, I think I'm thinking of the Cloud. Like the Amoeba as well, like that big-ass thing. They don't know what the hell it was. But there's also, like, a Cloud that's kind of like a life form in the animated series, and it just eats planets. And, like, I think they basically just... I don't think they destroy it. I think they drive it off, essentially. Like, I think Spock mind melds with it and, like, convinces it to, like, go away. But, like back to the original series, the Amoeba, the Doomsday device, what the hell is that? Where did it come from? The Denovan parasites, the stupid pancake monster, like those things are the necromorphs from, like, Dead Space, basically, because what they find out that these things have been cutting a bloody swath through the entire galaxy. These things are responsible for, like, wiping out, like, dozens of species by the time they get to Deneva. And what they do is they stick onto you, and then they just, like, project tendrils all through your body, and they, like, wrap around your nervous system. They're like the Flood in the necromorphs. Ugh! So, and then that's not even going into, like, the parasite, the bluegill from Next Gen, and all the other stuff. There's a lot of cosmic horror in Star Trek. The two have gone together since the very beginning. And then you get all to the stuff, like, all the implications around the Greek gods being real. They're aliens. They're ancient astronauts who, like, arrived on Earth and basically decided to run the place. But they were real. I think that was the idea behind Planet of Titans, is they were going to play with that, like the Olympians thing, but with the Enterprise crew this time. If you don't know what Planet of the Titans is, Planet of the Titans was an attempted Star Trek movie before the motion picture, and before Star Trek Phase 2 became a thing. Phase 2 was supposed to be the successor series to the original series, but then Star Wars happened. And they decided to make a movie instead. So what you got in the motion picture, if it felt like this is just like a really boring TV episode to you, that's because it is. Like, the motion picture is it's actually called it was actually called In Thy Image, and it is the pilot script, very loosely, because the pilot script for In Thy Image is much better than the motion pictures, in my opinion. But it is basically the pilot script for Phase 2. Like, it was going to begin with a TV movie.